But Hubbard bounced back. He got married for the third time, to one of his students, Mary Sue Whipp. This marriage lasted, and Mary Sue would become his devoted deputy. Sarah, his second wife, was cleared from his memory, just like an engram.
How many times have I been married? I've been married twice. And I'm very happily married just now. I have a lovely wife, and I have 4 children. My first wife is dead.
What happened to your second wife?
I never had a second wife.
In 1952, Hubbard launched a revolutionary new product, Scientology. Dianetics originally covered this life only, but in a new book, Scientology, A History of Man, Hubbard revealed that wasn't enough. Human bodies were in fact inhabited by immortal souls, or thetans, going back to primeval times. Hubbard's son from his first marriage, Nibs, claimed the book stemmed from an unusual piece of drug-driven research.
LRH gave his son Nibs some amphetamines, and Nibs started talking, he said. Started really talking fast, speed. And he kept talking, and he kept talking, and his dad kept giving him speed, and all of a sudden he was talking about his history when he was a clam and all these different situations in early Earth. And out of that came History of Man.
Suddenly you were nobody. Oh, I've been back 3 lives, I've been back 7, I was in the time of Pharaoh. Well, when I got back to the individual who was a clam, lying on a primordial seashore, with a grain of sand irritating a pearl inside it, I decided that's as far back as I wanted to go, and I just departed from Scientology altogether.
In late 1952, Hubbard came to London. He was still in financial trouble back home. A business partner had just issued a warrant for the return of $9,000 Hubbard had borrowed. To make money, he needed to go international. And here, instead of creditors, he found a new group of adoring fans.
He was really flamboyant. I mean, he was full of life. I mean, he rode about on his Harley motorcycle, and we threw parties, and he would play his guitar and, just sing and put on his cowboy hat. And I mean, he was just lots and lots of fun. We'd all get together, and then we would do various exercises, and we'd go out and see if just with thoughts we could knock off policemen's hats, or what kind of power did we have in terms of thinking and thought and energy and that sort of thing. I mean, it was great fun.
I thought it would give me total control of my own life. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But I mean, put in those terms, that's basically what Hubbard was saying. He was saying that you and everyone else, with the use of Scientology or Dianetics at that time, could become a god. And we were all, if you like, fallen gods.
The next step was to create a church for his new gods. A writer friend called Lloyd Eschbach later recalled how, after a dinner in the late 1940s, Hubbard had said, "I'd like to start a religion. That's where the money is." Now, a few years later, the Church of Scientology was born. In America in particular, there were sound practical reasons.
There are tax advantages, and there are advantages in the Constitution, which says that the government may not abridge the operations of a church. And I think that more than anything else, made him agree to using that vehicle, because it is, and has indeed proved, to be very difficult for any government to abridge the activities of a church.
Hubbard found the perfect cathedral for his church, St. Hill Manor, in East Grinstead in Sussex. He played his new role, the country squire. He told the locals that he was a scientist, researching plants and their reaction to pain. He and his young family settled into Sussex society, bringing American razzmatazz to East Grinstead's road safety campaign. But the locals hadn't realized that St. Hill was to become the Mecca of Scientology. Devotees arrived from all over the world to study at their master's feet.
I'm Jim Mondier from L.A.
They paid thousands of pounds for Hubbard's courses.
Now, the mind, when it has an old experience, will add that data into its current experience, and it keeps coming up with wrong answers.
Virginia Downsborough was on the first St. Hill clearing course.
Ron had such an amazing ability for making you feel that you were just so important to him and so valued. So many people wanted to do what he wanted to show him their best efforts, wanted to contribute, wanted to be part, you know. It was, again, this wait for me, let me come along with this wonderful game you're playing.
Central to the game was Hubbard's E-meter, a form of lie detector which he claimed could electrically detect emotional charge. Students spent hours, days, months, sometimes years, going over painful events, or engrams, in this or their past lives, trying to make the needle float. Proof that the engram was now cleared from their memories.
That's it. Clear 386 Lee Echo.
It's like nothing else in the world. It's really, I feel quite free.
Hubbard had designed an ingenious commercial product. The more past lives, the more memories, the more engrams to be cleared, all in a complex series of expensive courses.
Making money, I think, to Hubbard was paramount. He wasn't that interested in it for himself. He did have perks. He did have his cars, his motorbikes, his books, his good food, and things like that. And eventually he had his villas and he had his estates and so on. But the money that he wanted predominantly was for power.
Hubbard wanted to create a worldwide army of Scientologists. Going clear was only the first step. After that, further courses could improve your IQ, improve your work, turn you into a Superman.
The purpose of Scientology was to make the able more able. And he was always striving for that. And in everything he did, I think he was looking at that. Now, his idea was that if you could get every single person looking in the same direction, then you'd have a very powerful nation, you see.
This photograph, composed by Ron Hubbard himself, betrays an extraordinary ambition he held for Scientology.
The entire objective was to find a place that Hubbard could eventually turn into his own kingdom, with his own government, his own passports, his own monetary system. In other words, his own principality that he would be the benign dictator of. That was the objective.
He had been having some auditing and doing some investigative auditing and looking at past lives and past experiences, and he ran into what he thought might be the past life of Cecil Rhodes. So he went to Rhodesia to check out what he had discovered in his auditing.
He was there to attempt to create a Scientology community in the country and eventually turn the country over into a Scientology country. He was looking for a home base for Scientology.
Hubbard's vision of becoming a latter-day Rhodes failed. The Rhodesian government became suspicious of him, and his visa was not renewed. Back in England, Hubbard was also under attack. Parents were worried by strange communications from children who had fallen under Scientology's thrall.